That's why I say sometimes I don't like doing podcasts because I'll be telling the truth.
Which is what we want.
I don't know if I've ever said I fell in love with filmmaking. I mean, I think maybe I did, but I don't. Filmmaking is like a toxic relationship. Do you understand? Like, I like it and I hate it and I like it. Do you get? Don't ever see your film journey as linear. It's a journey. You are in the journey and you evolve as you go along.
Mm-hmm.
I started as an actor. There needs to be a re-education because somewhere people think that producers are plucking money from the tree. I've lost money on 2 of my productions that got me bankrupt this year.
Hello guys, welcome to the Good News Nigeria podcast. My name is Desmond Ebokungwe and today our guest is James Omokwe. And James is a visionary filmmaker who has significantly impacted Nollywood. He was born in the UK and raised in Nigeria. James's journey into filmmaking began with a passion for storytelling and a desire to bring African narratives to the forefront of global cinema. He studied at the New York Film Academy where he honed his skills in film directing. James Omokwe is best known for his works on epic TV series such as Ajoche, Rihanna, Chetam, Itura, even DJ. These series are celebrated for their rich portrayal of African history and culture. His latest project, Osamide, is a historical epic in the colonized Benin Kingdom. It is our honor and privilege at the Good News Nigeria podcast to be having this conversation with James Omokwe. I know you'd enjoy it. The first time I heard your name was, I think, 4 years ago. And I actually thought I was fighting for Edo filmmakers, people who were from Edo State, and I claimed you to be. So you need to hear the way I pronounce the name. So in my head, I was trying to get people who were from Edo State who were in Nollywood and trying to make sense of it. And then I added your name to the list, and then I was trying to defend it. And it was such a shock to hear that you're from Abia State. I was like,
I think my name, it's quite confusing because people actually, so a lot of people think I'm Delta Igbo or I'm Edo, Benin. And the way people pronounce my name is Omokwe, but the real pronunciation is Omokwe. So it's James Kalu Omokwe, which kind of means like everything I say, people agree. Juliet. Kalu means strength of God of thunder, long story short. Yeah, but I'm an Igbo boy, 100%.
So when are you creating a film about the God of thunder?
When am I creating an Igbo thing? I mean, I've done Chetam and there were some other things in the works that we were supposed to do. Maybe this is I can say it now. Like we had a thing with Prime that we're about to be, there was going into green light, but yeah, we're in development. We had almost finished development, but it was an Igbo series. It was actually about something which I can't speak about, but it was about my village. Yeah, but we'll get there one day. One day.
So with disappointments like that, would you call it disappointments first off?
No, I won't. I don't think. I think that in my career, I don't see those kinds of things as disappointment. They are disappointing, but they're not necessarily disappointments because those things almost kind of lead to something else. Do you get? Like I was having a conversation with somebody in just reviewing, where Netflix is at the moment. And I said, no, it's not a disappointment. Like, I mean, I totally understand where they are. And so I don't see it as a disappointment. It's disappointing, but it's not a disappointment. The fact that that's happened has now created the avenue for people to now have alternative solutions to distribution. It's a hard road to pass, but that's just the way it is.
What does that look like, the alternative solutions? Because a lot of us are now like, maybe we'll see more. This is an opportunity for African Magic and Showmax to also start commissioning everybody, which is almost impossible. But then it's also like, we need to more co-production deals and all of that. So everybody's just throwing in solutions. But in your opinion, what is this?
So I'm very passionate about the business of film, and I'll try to speak my mind on this podcast, but I'll try as much as possible not to say so much. I think that Nollywood, I don't say we have a big problem. First of all, we have no industry. When I mean industry, okay, we have an industry, but we don't have a structured industry. We have something that seems like a structured industry. And I say this from a business standpoint. For even people who want to invest, people say, oh, Nollywood is a 99 point something billion dollar industry. Where, how is the money, right? Yeah, we're probably making that in combined revenue, but what does that necessarily mean, right? And but when I say that the industry might have a problem is that we're too consuming focused, like we're not structure focused. One of the biggest issues that we have is that we don't have an end-to-end value chain. And I mean this simply by saying, if you look at a factory like makes rice, for instance, you cultivate the rice. Rather, you plant the rice or you get farmers to plant the rice. And those farmers will give the rice to a rice processing factory who processes the rice, does whatever it is they need to do, and, and those guys distribute it to, I mean, there's probably a distribution company or something that distributes it to other people who sell the rice to wholesalers and cover and sells the rice to you. And that's a value chain. What we don't have is that value chain. And our perfect example. Years ago, and I hope I'm making sense because somebody will watch this and abuse me. Years ago, when Nollywood started in 92, and by Nollywood I mean not the Nigerian film industry, Nollywood that we know. Some guy woke up in the morning and wanted to sell VHS tapes, emptied VHS tapes. But he was like, I can't sell empty VHS tapes. Nobody's going to buy it. So what do we do? Oh, let me put films in them and then sell them. And that's how you got Living in Bondage and co. But that grew into a system of, and please note, he was only trying to sell tapes, but he already had an existing pathway to sell those tapes. I mean, he as an electronics guy, he was probably selling stuff to Jamaica, selling stuff. So they had like a pathway or a market route to sell those things. Now that he has film, he knew that people would like Nigerian films, or I mean, let's see if people did like it, and he was selling them to people. People were buying VHS tapes. He was also selling that outside, right? And then that grew into a, we're marketers, even with film and music. So we have a bunch of people who are selling tapes, and we can sell them across, even outside of Nigeria, because there are a lot of people that like it. And so you had a group of people who knew how to sell tapes or DVDs or whatever everywhere across the globe. Okay. And then they were called marketers. There was no such thing as pirates at the time. Maybe there was, but we didn't necessarily call it pirates per se. And that was a thriving business, and it was doing well until the cinemas came. Now, one of the biggest problems I feel was that the guys, no disrespect to these people, the guys who, and maybe I'm wrong, the guys who created the cinema franchise didn't absorb what already existed. And maybe it's not their fault, maybe it's also our fault. We just excommunicated them. And so doing films in the cinema was different. It was bougie. Oh, you made your film, put it in the cinema. It was great. Those Igbo guys in the market, they're not bougie enough. I want to do red carpet. And it was great for a time. There was a cinema wave. And what happened was they sidelined, maybe not sidelined, but they didn't carry that part along. Now, what was happening was those guys needed to still stay in business because there was no collaboration going on. When you put a movie in the cinema, they want to sell to that audience. And so henceforth, piracy, in quotes, began. And I won't say piracy began, but it became now mainstream because there's a huge demand for wedding party, all these other movies, but it's not coming to the guys on the streets. So let's help you, and you understand? And that became a menace, as opposed to markets merging. Now, cinema went on for a while, do you get? But there was a big issue. Big issue was people who could actually pay for the tickets, right? Tickets were cheap, yes, but again, if you look at, if you go on Google, it's free data. Again, I may be wrong. Please correct me. I'm saying this now. Please, you can correct me, fact check me. If you check Google, since 2008, there have only been 29 movies that have grossed over 100 million. That doesn't make any sense business-wise. Do you understand? So the people who are actually making films weren't even making money, except certain people, which I will not mention. Go and check it. We see the list. But what happened was there was another wave that came 8 years ago. And what was that wave? Streaming. What happened? Everybody moved from cinema and they went to streaming. There was no collaboration per se. It was either people were doing straight to streaming Or yeah, I'll put it in the cinema just because I need to make money or whatever, and then I'll put it on Netflix for a licensing fee. But over the period of 8 years, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, the quality of movies that went to the cinemas dropped significantly. Am I lying? So the kind of movies you will see in the cinemas are the movies you will see on YouTube. And that completely isolated the market for people who were actually going to see Nigerian films. So yeah, people go and see Nigerian films like Funke Akindede's films and whatever, but when you have in an entire year, and a whole year, 2 films that are grossing over 200 million, then it's a problem. So now, 8 years after, streamers have gone. What are we doing? We're looking for the next best thing without thinking, you know what? We have an ecosystem because the markets are segmented. There are people that are watching your film free of charge on NigerNet, on what they call it, in Telegram. But you are shouting. But you are not innovating to say, how can I deliver my film to these people? The economy is hard. People don't want to pay for films. How can I circumvent that? So we're not thinking about that. We're thinking about where's the next best place I can collect $10,000 from to make a film. That is the issue. And so when you ask me, I'm saying this is the time to recalibrate the way we think and start to think about solutions that benefit not just us as Nigerians, but the entire Africa. Because guess what? You can't tell me that people don't watch Nigerian content. They do. But the problem is we don't know how to deliver it. And it's been more than 30 years.
Yeah, so now that you say that way, I can understand it. But then a few days ago when I was at the premiere, it's premiere season, everybody's premiering the film. And then Femi Adebayo has a film out on
Seven Doors.
And I was at the premiere and it felt like, seemingly, like there was this unity in the industry that felt very, like it was the Yoruba, it felt like the Yoruba industry coming together to support somebody. And then it was like a representation of the whole of Nollywood. And there was this sense of unity there. Would you say that that's the type of collaboration and unity we need in Nollywood to move forward?
Is there unity really? Like, I don't, and that's why I say sometimes I don't like doing podcasts because I'll be telling the truth.
Which is what we want.
Is there unity really? Like, the unity I want is not the unity at the red carpet because think about it. How many people in that, I don't say this as any disrespect to anybody. How many people on that red carpet paid to see the film? I'm just saying it's not in the cinema, it's on streaming, right? But if Femi Adebayo were to make a film for cinema, now that Netflix is changing and he did a big premiere, how many people will actually go and pay? That's what we want to see. I don't want to see it on the red carpet. I don't give a thing about, I care about when Funke. See, I'm going to be honest with you. And if Funke sees this, cool. I never used to be a fan of Funke Akindele, not because I didn't like her. I liked her as a person. But maybe I just wasn't a fan of her stuff. Not that they were, but it's great, but I have genres that I watch. I mean, I wouldn't watch every other Nigerian film, just like everybody won't watch my stuff. Last December, just the fact that she's executed the things that she's executed and at the magnitude at which she's done it, I went to the cinema to go and watch A Tribe Called Judah. I paid money for it because I wanted to support Funke. This film, I will go to the cinema and I will do it. Do you understand what I mean? Because you can't deny the hard work that woman puts into, like, she's amazing. Do you understand what I mean? That's the unity that we want. Like, when somebody makes a film, everybody says we will go and support. It's not the one that we will say we are going to support. Look at the trajectory in the cinemas. 29 films. Go and check this on Wikipedia. Are you telling me that since 2008, only 29 films have grossed over 100 million? That over 100 million is lost. So there are only very few films, and Funke Akindele is in the top 4 that have grossed over 300 million. Where is the unity? That's where we want to see it now. I don't want to do, Femi Adebayo made a movie. Oh my gosh, it's so great. No, go and watch it. Go and stream it. Let the numbers be record high. Talk about it. There are people they're not my guys. if I watch a film, whether I like it or I don't like it, if I see something nice about it, I'll do an Instagram post to say, oh, I went to see this movie and this is what I thought. That's the kind of support we're looking for. Not plantain support. Oh, I wore clothes to go to the carpet. You went there for yourself because you want to be, you want to be on Bella Niger. You want to show that this is the dress you wore. That's all. So, no, I don't think so. I think we need real support. I mean, we all need to rally together to say, Nollywood needs to grow. We need to do it individually. Practitioners need to come together. Somebody needs to say, okay, guys, we're filmmakers. What do we do? How do we push? Do you understand? Do you know how they used to do it before the marketers? If you're a marketer and I'm a marketer, and I want Genevieve in my film, you too, you want Genevieve in your film. I'll say, okay, Genevieve, I'll use Genevieve for 2 weeks so that I will hurry up so that you too, you can use Genevieve, so that the other guy too can use Genevieve. You know what? This is how much I'll pay Genevieve. So maybe you can add like 5K on top, you can add like 10K, but let her just be having work. All the marketers are rallying together so that one actress, if it's Jim Ike or whatever, can be working and be earning money. That's looking out for each other. Do you understand? Not, this one made a film, it's not sweet. We won't go and watch. Or it's my tribe. It's only my tribe of people that made this film. And that's the kind of thing that I tried to break in my stereotype. Before I did an Igbo epic, it took me almost 4 or 5 years. I was doing other things. Everybody be asking me, are you not Igbo? But I don't care. I just want to do a good story that's a Nigerian story. I want to be able to bring unity, with crew members, with actors. I want to be able to support other people. I want to go and support Jade. I want to go and support Fubuke. I want to go and support all these other people. That's support.
Do you think that there's this division between... So I watch a lot of Showmax. I mean, because of the types of stories there, and now I figured that I'm drawn to long form content. So I enjoy the conversations that happen from watching it daily. Yeah. Which is why I binged all your shows in 2 months.
For sure.
Do you think that there's this alienation from the people who create those shows and the people who are tagged to be the representation of Nollywood? And why do you think there's that division? Because when the people who watch, my friends who watch Chetam, who are fans of Chetam, who are fans of Ajoche and Rihanna, when we are having our conversations about the series, where it feels like we're on our own lane, creating our own Twitter spaces. And then when it now feels like there's another film, maybe like A Tribe Called Judah, there's another trope. But then it's one industry and it's all discoverable films in an industry. So why do you think there's that separation?
I mean, I think that's just a normal thing. I don't really pay attention to those kinds of things. There are people who it's like how you have it in Hollywood. There are people who make TV and they're really good at making TV. And there are people who make films, and people know them as films. There are people who go in between, people know. Do you understand what I mean? There's sometimes that you'll be shocked to find out the kinds of people who actually make TV content. Like people like J.J. Abrams. I mean, you know him as a director, but you'll be surprised to see his company, Bad Robot. You made this film. Do you understand? So I think that, again, every sector or division or whatever, they feed to a different audience. Do you get? And as usual, that audience would speak about, what they're consuming. I remember one time, this personal experience, I remember one time somebody was tweeting about something, and then somebody tweeted and was like, oh my God, this is why they need James Omokwe to come and do it, so. And somebody responded, who is that? We don't know him. I'm like, yay! Again, I laughed, but I was like, you know what? He probably doesn't watch the shows that I make. He probably doesn't even know what Showmax is. He probably doesn't even have a Showmax subscription. Or he probably doesn't have whatever. There are people that don't even have Netflix subscription. All these things you're talking about, they don't know. All they know is YouTube. When you talk about Netflix, they're like, what is that? They love is blind, YouTube, part 1, part 2, part 3. Do you understand? There's a whole YouTube. I sat down with a friend of mine. When she was telling me about films on YouTube, she was like, you need to see this actor. I'm like, who is that? I don't know you. But that actor is building house on YouTube, but we don't know you. Do you get? So different strokes for different folks. I don't think it's a division. I just think that they're just different segments of the market. You just like that segment and you're familiar with that segment. Somebody else might not be familiar with it. Some people might be familiar with all. I don't think it's a division thing.
Okay. What does I fell in love with filmmaking mean to you? Because now I feel like when Africa was a few months ago, and then it was just like, I fell in love with filmmaking. That's why I decided to tell authentic African stories. There's always that like, but in your own experience, what does that capture? What does that mean?
I don't know if I've ever said I fell in love with filmmaking. I mean, I think maybe I did, but I don't. Filmmaking is like a toxic relationship. Do you understand? Like, I like it and I hate it and I like it. Do you get? I think that what people are trying to say is that they just like making films. Do you get? And there are many aspects of filmmaking that I love, right? I think one of my the best parts of it is making money. The second part is developing stories, and it's a journey. Like I enjoy the journey of creating a world, right? And I take it from a spiritual point of view. I'm not very religious, but if you think about how God created the heavens and the earth, and when you read Genesis and how He took His time to create human beings and the animals and whatever, and then now say, oh yeah, go and multiply and dominate and whatnot. It's how stories are being made. So when you're developing a character, you're like, oh, we want, we're going to call this character Desmond is going to do this, that. And it's all on paper and you're just imagining this guy and then you now write a story and then you can see, okay, this guy is doing this. Very interesting. This guy is going to do this. Oh, I want him to do this. I want him to kill this person. I want people to feel bad. You get? And it's almost like manipulation because you're trying to create characters to make audiences feel a certain way. Then you now see those characters come to life. And you're like, like the other day I was watching a bit of, just going through some of the episodes of season 2 for Chatham. And I was just like, Jesus Christ. Like I remember when we were in workshop talking about this particular thing. Oh, look at how it looks. I can't wait for the audiences to feel. And then when you're on Twitter and you're looking at people shouting, it's a lie, this person is wicked. So that entire process, I love it. I hate it because, it's also stressful. It burns my brains out. Do you understand? Like but I love it. So it's that entire process when people say, I like doing this particular thing. It's many things in one. I think that's why they say they like filmmaking. I don't know if everybody loves filmmaking from beginning to end, but no problem. But I guess that's what they mean.
So for me, because I would like to think that I'm in the start phase of my filmmaking career. Yeah. And it feels like it's so hard. Because now at every point, it feels like you are trying to rediscover yourself. When you're making out short films, we made a couple of short films to show that we could do the work. Everybody now started tagging you as the short film guy. Then you now say, oh, I've done a feature film. Everybody's like, but has he done these numbers? Mm-hmm. And then all of that. So, but in your own experience, how easy was it making your first film?
So before I answer, let me give you an advice, small advice. Don't ever see your film journey as linear. When I say that, don't say things like, oh, I'm in the start of my career. What happens is that it almost makes it feel like you have a long way to go, which is necessary. and so when you say, and that long way to go doesn't have an end because it's like infinity. And so when you say that, it kind of limits. It's a journey. You are in the journey and you evolve as you go along. Mm-hmm. I started as an actor. I was an actor. And how I became an actor, I was in school. It's not me they came for, it's my sister, who isn't an actor. But they say she has a good TD face. And my sister was like, oh, I remember, we're going for a basketball show. I remember clearly, we're climbing the staircase, going to a new hall, and then she was like, no, don't talk to me, talk to my brother, because I used to do a lot of church, stuff. And somebody spoke to me and I was like, oh, okay. They said I should come for audition. I said, oh, okay. I went for audition. It was Tokwe Edowu, Shallow Waters. I got the role and I did the thing. I was like, I'm acting, do you understand? And then I did some other things. And before you know it, I was on Tinsel. I was acting, do you get? And at some point I decided, I'm not satisfied. Just in that journey, I was like, I would love to tell different kinds of stories. I want to be able to be in control of the stories I tell. And I went and did film school, came back. I said, I'm a director now. Do you understand? I did directing. I made my first film, which was tough, but we raised the money. The journey to raising the money was fun, but it was hard. Do you understand? Because first of all, I just came out of film school. I was like, oh, no problem. You know what? If I meet 10 of my friends to give me 10 million naira each, I'll raise 30 million. Maybe if 10 of my friends can give me 10 million, at least 20 will give me 5 million. Easy peasy now. But that kind of didn't work out because we were looking for that money for a while. But what happened was, I met one guy that gave us 150K, another guy that gave us 700K, another guy gave us this amount of money. We're looking for 30 million to make that film. That 30 million reduced to 5 million. You understand? Because nobody had 30 million to give. And there was a guy that gave us 2 million. So we kind of raised that money over a period of time. This is when we were shooting, because we were shooting. We had just said, let's chuck our head and shoot the thing. And then We did that. But the premise of raising the money was me telling people, oh, which is another issue, if we put this film in the cinemas, we'll make X amount of money, we'll do this, we'll do that. You understand? Oh, if people will buy 500 naira tickets, they will definitely fill up the CC. The seats are 400K. That's what we made. And I couldn't pay the money. I couldn't pay the 5 million back until like maybe 2 years after. And I think that's what scared me away from. Scared is not the word. That's what made me realign my brain from the cinema. And I was like, you know what? This isn't a money-making venture. Why? And then I started studying, which took me into the business of filmmaking. And for years, I've been studying filmmaking. I'm just like, okay, if people do this in the cinema, will they make money? I'm looking at the trends, for years. And I just said, you know what? I just rather do TV. TV, I get paid. and that's it. I don't have to worry about anything. And that was it. So being a first-time filmmaker, I think the thing is, some of the solutions is sometimes when you've not made a film before, even now, we have very lofty dreams. We want to make a big blockbuster movie, best of its kind, never been seen before. I just need 70 million naira to make it work. A lot of times people won't invest in you. Even when you have a lot of things under your belt, a lot of people might not invest in you. The way to do it sometimes is to do proof of concepts. To say, oh yeah, we're trying to do a movie, but here's 5 minutes of how it will look. A lot of people are in this entertainment world, they're driven by visuals. They're not driven by, so I'm telling you, Chiwetel Agbo is going to be in this movie, then he's going to go up, nobody cares. They want to see how it looks and feels. There are some things you can't explain. As long as it looks shiny than something else, they'll throw money at you, or they will seemingly try to throw money at you. But if you go and say, oh, I have a presentation, I want to pitch to you, this is the reason why you make the money, nobody cares about that kind of thing. And so, yes, it's difficult to raise money, but you have to do it right. And by doing it right, like somebody said to me, what is the granular way? You have this big idea, you want to do this big movie. What is the granular step to show people that I can actually do this? And that's how I got into TV. Because when I started my new company, I did one TV show that was bad. When I started my new company, Fimo, I went and did, that was when we were like, oh, one star authentically African story. So there's something I did called Ojuri. If you go scroll down on my Instagram, you see it. It's one Yoruba epic, but it's like 3 minutes. We did it in 2016. I promise you, and I'll pin it on my page so that people can go and look at it. And I don't say this for anything. I'm not trying to, it looks better than some things that you see. This is 2016. That was how we got the job to do Ajoche and do these other things. And do you understand? Because somebody saw something. So I was like, I like this thing. So yeah.
So speaking about, when you've met where there's this expectation from, because now there's a lot of expectations from the types of stories you tell. So from when you state who the head writer is to when you start publicizing it, everybody's excited about the prospects of the story. How did you, so the very first 3 episodes of Chetam this year, because we had so much expectations, then there was no audio. No, there was no subtitle. And then some of the grades, like you see that this scene is not graded, the next is not graded. How did you navigate all of that and explain, because a lot of the people who engage your work are true fans of the work. And then now having to, because I'll see your explanation, the subtitle is back next week, then maybe it's not out, you'll be like, sorry. And all of that. So how did you manage that as somebody who was working for
So, I mean, it was quite frustrating, but I totally understand. The subtitle thing was and I don't put the blame on them because they too, so it was a Showmax thing. And it's upgrading technology. And usually that's very difficult to do. And so there was a bit of a non-conformity in quote on their end, which wasn't allowing for. So, and they were racing, and listen, man, the guys at Showmax, beautiful guys, they were racing against time. You get, like, I would be on the phone 2 a.m. in the morning. I remember I was doing something, I can't say what I was doing, something, because of next year, but there's something we're doing where we had to be judges on something. And we were with the Showmax technical team. And when we finish working, maybe I'll finish at 10 p.m. And, I'm in the hotel room. And, the episodes come up at 12. And there's one of our cast members that doesn't sleep. She's waiting for that episode. And so she will ring me at 1 a.m. It's okay, you're not there. Then I come. And I get to, so, and then we try. And then, the truth is, just be real with the audience. Yeah, sometimes they're not there. There's really nothing you can do, and just explain, that this is what we'll try to do as movie. I mean, I just wanted a situation where, you're serving fans. It's like serving jollof rice, and then maybe the plate you serve them is broken. You have to explain that this is the reason, so that you don't lose people. But I think that's been fixed, and this season, I don't think we'll have those, challenges. And in terms of grading here and there. People don't understand that, and it's not an excuse, but people don't understand that doing TV is madness. And so you have a strict, so my post-production office is in Lakowe, like it's straight after my house, right? It's big, space. And guys are working left, right, and center, And so because you're in a hurry, everybody's like, episodes need to be on time, do you understand? And yes, you've color corrected something, but you removed the color correction just because you wanted to check something. You forgot to put it back. Do you understand? Because the episodes need to go. You scrub through. Everything is fine. Nobody has time to watch 30 minutes. You need to upload like 7 episodes. You now see it on TV. You're like, what? So these things happen. But we've tried our best to make sure that those issues don't come up in the next season. Or even on our new show, we try as much as possible. But it's always a tight ship. These things will happen. You just apologize to everybody, and hopefully they accept your apology and they move on. So it's tough navigating it, but we pull through at the end of the day. Yeah,
because I'm always so for me, I think of it because so something similar happened when my short film screened last year, and it was playing for the very first time. There was this glitch, and then I was like, nobody has to see it this way. And then I was like, please don't go. And people did not notice, but because I'd watched it, I was like, you have to see it the way I wanted to see it. And then the film restarted. Mm-hmm. So in my head, I'm always like, it has to be presented to the audience the way I want it to be presented to the audience, so that if they are judging it, I know that.
I think that at the end of the day, I mean, like for us, sometimes what we try to do is to even add like a QC checker, like somebody who can QC. But if it's gone out, it's gone out. Trust me, I made a post about Shogun. Shogun won how many Emmys? There was literally a scene where there was a fight in the forest, and there was a guy. I think there was a guy that held somebody, and there was a stabbing. The guy stabbed air, and the guy was just reacting and. Yeah, but it doesn't take away from the story. We move on. Do you understand? So those things happen. Sometimes you have to put QC checkers just to make sure that these things are not lost. But you can't catch it. Listen, there was on Ajoche. So let me explain to you. On Ajoche, there were. So there's me. So there's my producer that does QC check, final watch. I do. What am I saying? The editors do. Let me start. Offline, we check. Because you are the one that edited it. We check. You will send to online. Online editor will check. He's the one that edited it. He will send to producer. Producer will watch and check, make corrections. They will send it to me. I will check. They will send it to the CE. They will check. Final. They will send it to channel. I'm telling you that the day this episode aired, there was a big fat boom in the shots. Not small. The full boom. This size. Right in the shots. It was somebody that saw it and did a circle and sent it on TV. You can't miss it. It's not like it was it's there. And we're all like, how did we miss this thing? 6 people. Do you get it? It will happen.
So, how's your time at the New York Film Academy? And do you advise? So, I was privileged to have attended the Multi-Choice Talent Factory, and then we did all of that. Mm. So everybody usually has expectations of like, oh, you've done film school and all of that. Mm. But in your own experience, how was that experience? And do you advise for people to go to film school?
First of all, I wouldn't have done New York Film Academy without Lionel Sidaosa, who's the CEO of the New York Creative Academy. I used to work for him, and we go way back. And so when they first came to Abuja, or when they first came to Nigeria, the first maiden edition, we used to do like work for them. And then I was like, Sa, please. And then that's how, we did film school. So the thing about film school is the thing I also always say about filmmakers interning on other people's productions or even like network-based productions, which is they teach you the rules, which you might already know, but how to circumvent those rules. If you go on YouTube, they teach you about framing, they teach you about all those things. Do you understand? Yeah, okay, yeah. Or how to talk to your actor, how to do this, how to do that. Great stuff. Do you get? But film school gives you a deeper sense of why you're doing certain things. Like, why are you taking these shots? What's the point? You understand? Why are you having this conversation with this actor? Why do you want them to do this? What's the essence of the story? What's the essence of, the 3-act structure or 5-act structure? Why is it important that your story must have an inciting incident? What does that mean to you? Do you understand? And so they leave you with these answers, and then at the end of the day, you decide, oh yeah, I know these rules, and then I can do it. And so it's very important for people to learn. It's like saying, people who don't do film school or don't learn whatever, it's like those mechanics that they learn from their master, and they say, oh, off car, on car, off car, on car. Okay, now easy, Jonathan. And you don't necessarily know why, Perfect example. Today, I went to the mechanic, so my AC was acting up. And usually people will say, one guy is like a proper engineer. He's like, oh, this thing is going on. Oh, the reason why this is happening is because this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. But first thing you need to do, you need to put AC in your tank. Then, do you understand? Not, it could be like AC, maybe in another thing. Do you understand? So, film school is very important. If you don't have the money to go to film school, there are free courses online, and you can listen to people talk, or you can intern and talk to a director who can actually show you the ropes, not you just watching him work, like, oh, sir, why are you doing this thing? Or why is this, Jonathan? Experience is also important. So film school is one thing. Experience is another. Like I said, film school gives you the knowledge, but the experience is what really cooks you, Jonathan. Film school doesn't teach you how to emote when an actor doesn't show up on set, and you've wasted 7 hours on location, and you have to do. Film school doesn't teach you those things. Film school doesn't teach you that, when it's time to shoot, the actor that you chose for the role is not the right actor. You have to find another actor. They don't teach you those things. Film school and experience combined together is what makes you a great filmmaker.
Okay. So something you mentioned there is, for a lot of filmmakers, there's that disease to please. And then sometimes you see that it's not working, but then you just try to make it push till the end. So how do you, for example, like you find out that an actor, have you been in a situation where the actor didn't work?
Of course.
And then you say, yeah, come, they go, and how do
no, of course. Like I don't know if I should say this, but anyway, I did, and there's nothing wrong with it. Like, so I did a film, right? And then and maybe it's communication from my side. I don't know. Do you get, or communication from somewhere? And we had a communication with somebody, because that particular was very difficult to fill, and we found someone. And the criteria was that you need to speak the language, right? And so we get on set day one. I'm pumped, like, road tape. And, the actor is talking. I don't know the language. And I'm like, oh, this is, good thing. And then the cultural consultant is like, pss, pss, pss. This guy, I know they get this thing. And I was like, what? He's like, I know they get this. And then, so I went to the guy and I was like, what's going on? Apparently I found out that he couldn't necessarily speak the language. I was like, shit. And he was like, oh, like, we can do ADR. I'm like, nope. Like, if you're not getting it, you're not getting it. Do you get? I mean, I try to get him to, but I understand the pressure he was on. And I was like, no, I don't want a situation where at the end of the day, when I'm watching the film, I would be like, shit, I could have made a choice. And so we shut down production for 2 days to find the appropriate actor. And we found the appropriate actor, do you get? So it's not a case of pleasing. I think with art, for me, it's just like you, like when you've made a film and you want people to see the way you made it, is how I want people to see the film. I mean, there are some compromises here and there if I don't get exactly what I want, but those compromises will not destroy the film. But if this is the vision, the minute you compromise too much, then you spoil the cooking, So I'm not a pleaser per se. I do what I think is best. I'm a collaborator. If we all have an agreement that, okay, maybe this one is not working, let's try this, okay. But not somebody telling me this is the best we must put in the film because I want, no, sorry. Don't worry. Thank you.
A veteran actor kind of spoke about how some actors bill as high as $1 million per day now in the Nigerian context. And sometimes when, as a producer, when you look at it, you're like, how do I match up with all of this? But in your own opinion, what would be a more sustainable model? And what are your thoughts on these fees that almost feels like a get back on some of the stories that some of these actors have heard that, oh, this producer received this amount and I got this peanut, but now I have to charge whatever I have to charge regardless of the scenario, even if the producer is not going to even make bank.
I think that, so first of all, me, I'm of the opinion that it's okay for you to charge the money you want to charge. It's also okay for me not to pay you the money because I don't have it. Do you understand? If you are lucky to find somebody that can pay you the money, great stuff. But when you're drinking Gary and you have school fees to pay, the money that's available is what you will collect. That's number one. Number two, the other problem is that people in the industry need to educate themselves. Sometimes when I hear actors talk, and I don't say this out of disrespect, I'm just like, you need to fill your head with education because there's nothing there. You will hear somebody got paid, and I'm not saying that people don't get paid big money and they don't chop it because we have heard stories. But just generally, you hear they gave somebody 200 million to shoot a film. Automatically, in your mind, you're like, as an actor, because they give this person 200 million, this person gives me
less than 10 million.
10 million. You know, go bad. What is 10 million to 200? What you forget is that you are not the only person that is receiving money on that show. There are other actors, the extras, your co-actors, there's the DOP, there's equipment rental, there's hotel, there's food, there's logistics, there's post. It's so, like, too many moving parts. And so what people don't realize is that, and sometimes I also blame the producers because nobody is transparent. I kid you not. I mean, I wouldn't just flimsily talk about production, the cost of productions here. But if the time comes for me to put it on paper, we will say it because we know with us, how much we spent. I can show bank statements. I really take more. This is how much we spent, this is how much. But you see, a lot of times people are afraid to say how much they spent. Go and check an interview. How much did you spend on this Netflix production? Oh, we thank God they gave us this money. How much, sir? So producers too are also, do you understand? Because you're not letting people know, you're not showing people the business of filmmaking. If you see, I encourage people, go and read Netflix Outlook of the year. They will tell you, Q1, we spent this amount. And if you go into their investor reports, you will see the figures there. This is how much we spent on each project. This is accountability. We paid this. Do you understand? It's there. So investors can look at it and be like, oh, okay, this is how much they paid for this, is how much, okay, this is it. Unfortunately, we don't do that. Because producers too, they want to put on, do you understand? And so, because there's no transparency, actors now decide, this is how much I want to collect. I think there needs to be a re-education to say, look, as producers, we don't have a distribution system. I can't. There's a particular actor. Forgive me. I always say his post. I'm not going to mention his name, but if you say A, he's always talking about, because he's in the film, he needs to have at least 1% equity.
I know that.
Do you understand? And his conversations are valid. Do you understand? To him, you need to have 1% equity. And I say to myself, you see, you need to go and become financially literate before you start saying things like that. If you want equity in my film, that's okay. I'm not going to pay you. Come, what is the value you are bringing? People don't understand how equity works. There are two kinds of investment. There's the investment that if I give you 70 million as debt or a loan, I'm asking for 70 million for a period of time, then you give me back my money. So you want to invest in a film. I'm giving you 70 million on the film, right? Just give back my money and 10%. But I have no ownership of that product because I used your money to make it. I gave it back to you after a term plus profit. There are people that will say, I want to invest in your film. And however this film is existing and it makes money, just give me a percentage of, because I'm hoping that you will make X amount. I want to share in the risk of making that film with you. So yeah, I'm putting my money inside. So, and if the movie doesn't make money, I also lose my money. But however, I will, if the movie comes out, I want ownership. I'm an executive producer. I want rights to this film. I also want to own this film. So if you take this film now to Netflix, I take this film to Kafanchan, however much they pay you, I must collect inside. But as an actor, I said, come and act. Yes, your face is in the movie, but I'm also doing you a favor because I'm paying you. This movie, the story you're acting, it's not you that wrote it. Somebody else wrote it. It's going to make you popular. Then after I've finished paying you your money, you still want me to give you 1% equity. What risk did you take in the film? What's the risk you took? If you say, oh, the risk is that you are not paying me enough, then you don't know how the industry works. Because the money that I'm raising, where did I get it from? Is it God? Somebody gave me the money. I'm taking the risk. You don't share in that risk. Because if I took 100 million from BOI and the movie doesn't make money, you are not going to share in the risk with me now. I'm the one that is sharing in the risk. When I did my first movie, I borrowed 5 million in total. 2 million was from one guy. The guy still follows me to today. That guy threatened me. He said, if I don't pay this money, he's going to Facebook everywhere. I couldn't post anything. But guess what? There were actors on that set. I paid them full money now. We negotiated. It might not have been what they wanted, but I paid them. But you see, when that guy was threatening me, is he going to call their name? So why should I give you equity when you are not sharing the risk with me? That's not how business is run. You can't say, oh, James, you're going to have this big app. I gave you 100 million, but you gave me the 100 million back with 10%, but it's not fair. This thing has blown for 10 years and I have to be getting paid. You are a liar. You did not share the risk. You collected your money back. You didn't throw the money and say, oh, if it works, if it doesn't work. You didn't do that with me. So there needs to be a re-education because somewhere people think that producers are plucking money from the tree. I'll share something with you. This is the first time I've said it. I've lost money on 2 of my productions that got me bankrupt this year. I just recovered. As I'm talking to you, I just recovered. Nobody knew what I was going through. I just recovered. Who followed me to lose the money? All the actors I paid on those shows, maybe they've gone to the house. They don't go house now. Oh, thank you very much, sir. They've gone and done other films. But I'm in my house calculating. I'm collecting loan to pay salaries for the work that I've lost money on. Did you follow me to take the risk? When we're drinking the Gary, did you follow me to drink the Gary? So now that I'm out of it and I'm okay, you can't take ownership of anything. You didn't join me. It's only those that join me to take the risk. That will be... I don't know if you get my point. So yeah. So I think people just need to be re-educated. Like, it doesn't work like that. Do you understand? If you have the industry is not in a space where you can say, oh, I want to be paid. If you know how much Netflix is paying, then you can feel I want to be paid a certain fee. But you cannot carry your Netflix money and come and meet me in Africa Magic and say it's the same money you want to earn. You are joking. It's not possible. Or carry me and go to YouTube and say the same. Sir, no. Do you understand? So I always advise people, have a best case, middle, worst case scenario. And that's how you negotiate. But you also have to be considerate and understand that all budgets are not the same. We are not in Hollywood. Even Hollywood, they don't pay the same. But there's nobody that, if they pay Robert Downey Jr. 20 million today, it doesn't mean they're going to pay him 20 million for another film. And if they don't have the money, if he doesn't want to do it, goodbye, God bless. Wrap it up. Yeah.
So,
hey, I went that trouble today.
Well,
on this podcast.
We're gradually rounding up.
Yeah.
So, what influences the type of stories that you tell? From Chetam to Diche to Ajoche, Riona, Itura, all of it. What influences your decision to tell these stories? Because they are very... a part of me felt like I knew the Doma culture after watching Ajoche, yes. Every time I'm like, Kukunukla or something. I'm like, yeah. So you felt like you were part of the culture, which is something that I think is testament of the work that you guys have done. But then what draws you to these niche stories from these people?
It's how you feel. That's what draws me. Like when you learn about another culture. So we're not taught history in schools. We don't know much about our history. We don't know much about who we are as a people. If you ask any Nigerian, who are you? I'm Igbo, that's all, right? And so when I started the film, one of the things we wanted to do was to tell authentically African stories. And by authentically African stories doesn't mean, because people throw that word authentically African every day. No, it's really the kinds of stories we tell, the nuances, the language, like what the whole film is like. It's our story, like something that you can relate with. And it doesn't really matter whether it's epic, it doesn't matter. But, one of the things we want to do is to throw you back in time to, witness our history through fiction, or witness our daily current existence in its reality, through fiction. And so that's what's guiding some of the stories we're telling. We just don't want to tell stories anyhow. And so Ajoche was the first. We had, Rihanna, Itura, DJ. If you notice, DJ was a whodunit, but it had a spiritual Igbo thing to it. It's just something that people can relate to. And for me, I think that's what sets us apart from every other place in the world. And we're not new at doing it. The Indians are doing it. Hollywood is doing it, even though they've run out of stories to tell. But the point is, how do I tell the story of Africans through fiction, right? If we didn't do Ajoche, a lot of people wouldn't have known about the culture. Even Rihanna, the same thing. I remember when the Olu of Warri was being crowned, and when they were shouting, Ogiam, so there are people that were tweeting, "Oh my God, I saw this in Rihanna," Jonathan. And I'm not taking credit for it, but I'm happy that somebody could relate with that culture. Do you understand? And just be like, I saw this on TV. Do you get me? And, it's fun to be a part of that.
Do you take the title King of Epic?
Of course. So I used to hate that thing. Like when people call me King of Epic, like, what is that? So yeah, this is not to blow my trumpet or anything, but when you've done about 40,000 plus minutes of TV, I'm probably the second person in this country that has achieved that feat, and I don't take it for granted. Do you understand? And most of that has been epic TV shows, and you've represented it so well on a TV scale. And even just looking at the film that we're about to release, which some of you have already seen the publications about it, which is Osamede. If I do say so myself, I accept the title. Not because other people aren't doing the right thing, and I admire all the work that they've done, just that we've done it longer. I'm tired of doing it. Like, in fact, now anybody that tells me, come do Epic, I'm like, just leave it alone! But yeah, I appreciate the title, and I will gladly accept it.
Well, what do you think about... Because now it feels like everybody is doing an Epic.
So now... I'm moving away. Like, I will do Epic, but we're trying to do other things. Do you get? In fact, even this film, I was convinced to do it to some degree, and I enjoyed doing it thoroughly. I still have 2 epics under my sleeve. When I say 2 epics, like 2 epic stories I want to do. I'm not saying I'm doing them yet, but I will do them. But after that, we will pivot into something else. You will find out at some point.
Okay. Exciting. So, final question would be, how do I become... to the person watching, how do they become, or how do we become James Omokwe?
No, don't become James Omokwe. Please become your own...
Film in the
sense of it, yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, become yourself, but I'm a workaholic. People don't know. And it's not a good thing. But in the workaholic thing, I'm never satisfied with every production that I've done. My team, I've worked with them for 8-9 years. Same guys. Every time we start a new project, it's always, how do we surpass the last one? If you want to do the things I do, innovate. Do you understand? Like, there's so much. I've not even reached, if I consider the way people see me, I've not even reached anywhere. Like, the things we want to do is mind-blowing. Like, we're nowhere. Do you understand? But in everything that we do is, how do we innovate? Do you understand? How do we make it better? Just even looking at this Osamede, I used to think that Chetam was the best thing since sliced bread. Chetam is nowhere near Osamede. Like, they're not even in the same league. You know what I'm saying? Like now, when I go back and watch it, I'm just like, Jesus Christ, like, what do we do here? Do you understand? So, but yeah, that's just pretty much what it is.
But is there somebody cinema film?
We'll find out. Yeah, I can't say anything now. But we'll find out.
Exclusive.
Exclusive. We'll find out.
All right, thank you very much, sir, for joining us on this conversation.
Appreciate.
Thank you.
Appreciate.
What an exciting episode on the Good News Niger podcast with James Omokwe. Speaking about exciting stuff, you can watch more exciting stuff on our YouTube channel and on podcast. But it's important that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on all social media platforms at the Good News Niger podcast. See you in the next episode.